And good evening, everyone. This is meeting number 15, Monday, October 25th, 2021. The council meeting tonight, I'd like to just welcome you all here. And due to the efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19 and to protect all individuals, the council chambers will not be open to the public to attend council meetings until further notice. As noted on tonight's agenda, if members of the public had any comments, they could provide them by email to the clerk by 4:30 p.m. today. Please note that any email comments submitted will be considered as public information and read into the public record later in the agenda. Any members of the public can watch this evening's council meeting by using the live stream link found on the township's website, as this meeting is being live streamed and is also being audio and video recorded and will be posted on the township's website and can be viewed anytime following the meeting. This time we were going to sing "O Canada," and then we'll have the land acknowledgement statement. O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, a true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. And then on behalf of the members of council and staff, we wish to acknowledge this land on which the township of West Lincoln operates. The land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe peoples, and is still home to many Indigenous peoples today. We are grateful to have this opportunity to work here today and to follow the Haudenosaunee system of blending laws and values and the Anishinaabe beliefs to strive to live in harmony and balance throughout the municipality. We acknowledge that we are all treaty people and accept our responsibility to honor all our relations. Councillor Rayner, you have the opening petition.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we gather to make decisions for our community. May we use only our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and always act in accordance with what is in the best interest of our community and our fellow citizens.
And thank you, sir. Councillors, are there any changes in orders of items on the agenda? And I see none, Madam Clerk. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary and or conflict of interest? We have one that's already been registered, the disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest that was declared by Councillor Bradrick at the October 12 public meeting under the Planning Act for zoning bylaw amendment application in the name of JCT Services, as well as with respect to item P101-215 of the October 12 Planning, Building, Environmental Committee meeting being the technical report for this application. This has been noted on tonight's agenda, and these public meeting minutes, as well as item P101-215, has been segregated to be voted on separately, which will be addressed later on in the evening. Is there anyone in the Zoom meeting that is indicating that they wish to provide comments as permitted by section 6.7 of the procedural bylaw? Ms. Keith?
Seeing none, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. At this time, I would also, I'm going to ask the clerk, were there any members of the public that had emailed comments prior to 4:30 today with respect to a specific item on the agenda, Madam Clerk?
No, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you very much. There are no appointments or presentations for this evening's council meeting, so I'm going to call upon Councillor Witteveen to provide his remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. So good evening, Mayor, and members of council and staff and members of the public. So I'd like to start this evening and share with you what the Niagara region has started their process on the 2022 budget, requirements, and priority setting. This past month, we've had discussions about our incentive programs within the region. And these present programs are sustainable, looking at sustainability over the long term, and make sure they meet the priorities of our strategic plan. So looking back, West Lincoln has benefited from these programs, most notably the downtown. And the second round of the PRIP program, which is the Public Realm of Improvement program, we were successful in receiving funding for furniture and shelter in our downtown parkette. The Niagara region is fully aware of the challenges that residents are facing in this post-COVID world, and we understand that we must keep up with the maintenance of our existing infrastructure, roads, bridges, water, and sewer. So we've seen a significant investment in our community over the number of years, and the mayor and myself are lobbying to keep projects front and center during the budget time. So at this present time, the Niagara region staff have been directed to keep the annual increase to the rate of the cost of living increase in that 1% to 2% range. For the Public Works Committee, we received updates from our waste management discussing the extension of the household hazardous waste extension to 2022 for producer responsibility, negotiations with producers on the ongoing transition of the gray and blue box coming down the road. At a meeting, the public health meeting that I attended this month, we continue to discuss our net zero program, which is to reduce homelessness, poverty reduction within the region. We received a report to discuss the capacity of emergency shelters as the cold weather sets in. So for your information, there is 300 bed capacity with multi-stakeholders within the region, and ongoing lobbying to the province and the federal government continue to assist in resources to combat the poverty and homeless issue of the day and into the future. And I'm sure the mayor will comment on his resolution that he brought forward to the meeting. And also later last month, I attended the Agriculture Policy Action Committee, where we've had extensive discussion on the responsibility of fill from development finding its way onto agriculture lands. We've had our fair share of issues here in West Lincoln. So as the Niagara region continues to grow and intensify, this problem will become greater. So the group of mayors and committee members gave direction to planning staff to have discussions with the local area municipalities and planning to create a comprehensive, consistent bylaw throughout the Niagara region moving forward. Also participated in the PIC for the planning of West Lincoln. I was pleased to hear that the consultants are taking our feedback each time and including it in the overall plan. So I just encourage everybody to give their feedback on the plan at Smithville site. It's very important that this process moves forward and that we all have a chance to have input on the various stages of planning. And lastly, my report this evening, I just wanted to share with you that the Niagara Federation of Agriculture has its regional meeting on Wednesday, and we will have a guest speaker, Senator Rob Black. Senator Rob Black has served as the provincial board member at 4-H, and he was the director of the Rural Ontario Institute in Guelph, and he's a very active senator in the agriculture community, making sure that policies are created that are pro basically agriculture, but for rural communities in general. So that's kind of going to be an exciting evening for us on Wednesday night, hosting him. And councillors, this is my report for October. So if any members have any questions, I'm free to answer them to the best of my abilities.
Great. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Riley, you have a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess to you, to Councillor Woodavine, thank you for the update there. The question I have for you tonight actually has to do with policing and what further can be done for a community. As you know, I sent you an email not too long ago regarding some concerns of what was happening at St. Martin's School there, the old school. That is, from what we understand, or at least heard, allegedly that there's homeless people living in the tarmac and possibly living in the building. And aside of that, just today I received another phone call from another concerned resident regarding speeding and just road aggression. And so West Lincoln's still feeling very vulnerable and underprotected. And again, so I just want to know what possibly what you and the mayor are doing at the region to make sure that message is being heard and what further can be done to protect our community.
Well, thank you for the question. And I'd really like to direct it to the mayor, being that we had a discussion when those concerns were first brought to us, and we just discussed who was going to contact our staff sergeant, and the mayor said he would reach out. So I can't comment, but I'm sure the mayor would like to comment on it.
Yeah, so we maintain regular contact with Sean Parent, the staff sergeant at District 8, and he's very aware of probably the best thing that has happened in the last year is that we do have increased coverage, and they're very quick to tell us that we do actually have more coverage than we have traditionally had. Of course, it's still a large territory, so as ne'er-do-wells often do, they look over their shoulder, and if they don't see any cops, they do their thing, and if they do see one, they keep their nose clean. So it's one of those things that we tend to, in West Lincoln, continue to respond to reactively the challenges as they arise, the reality is about a half a year ago, it was the College Street school that was receiving all the vandalism, and we get a little bit more attention paid to College Street, and unfortunately then the concerns arise at other locations, and this time it looks like it was the St. Martin's School. So it's an ongoing thing, and the easiest thing to do. Sean Parent, we can bring him back here into the fall or into the new year again. But he makes himself very available on Twitter, and they have quite the social media campaign, which is very responsive. So I continue to ask the residents and the counselors themselves to direct people to the police Twitter account, which allows them to know where the speed traps are. Well, not to know where the speed traps are, but where the speed zones are, and see if we can get coverage. And the officers are very pleased to respond as quickly as they can. And you know what? I'm throwing this out there. I'm prone from time to time, if I do see a cruiser parked, to just pull up, make a quick introduction and encourage them. And sometimes even there, if you see that, you can be a concerned citizen. You can just pull over and just say, hey, you know what? I'm a councilor here in West Lincoln, and I don't know if keep up the good work and stay visible, and we really appreciate that we can see you. And I don't think it's beyond your purview to suggest, hey, you know what? A lot of speeding on such and such roads. So at the very least, you can start to get to know the officers that parole our area, and that's always a good thing.
And I appreciate that. And like I said, like today, obviously, I think Councilor Gannon and I hear on a regular basis, but today was the most recent one where I had a very distraught mother, concerned almost witness, her son and her husband almost struck down by a motor vehicle. And so we need more. Like, I appreciate that they're here, and I understand it's always the way. But at the same time, we've seen improvement. We haven't seen enough improvement. And so my request to you guys is make sure that voice is heard and keep that pressure going, please, because we certainly do not have nearly enough protection as we should have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any others? Councillor Rayner, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With regards to your discussions, Councillor Whittington, you had mentioned that there was a fair share of issues at the region that took place last week. One of the ones that I'd like to have further discussion with you tonight on is regards to the disciplinary meeting that was had with the mayor and the voting that took place at the regional council with regards to the action taken that the region felt based on the recommendations from the integrity commissioner. I believe you were the only one that did not support the recommendations of the Integrity Commissioner. Is that not correct?
That's correct, Councillor Rayner.
All right, for the benefit of us councillors, and you did say at the beginning that you represent the township at the region. The township did not do what you did. So could you please explain to the councillors and to the people that are listening why you chose the direction you took?
So definitely. Well, Councillor Rayner, I did read the Integrity Commissioner's report, and in that report, after our mayor did make his comment, he went out and apologized for his inappropriate comment. And in that, in the Integrity Commissioner's report, that's what our mayor did. And in the evening, this past Thursday, our mayor then again apologized. And I felt that how many times does one person have to apologize for an inappropriate remark? And I just felt that the mayor had understood, and maybe not choosing the right words, and he did apologize for his wrongdoing. And I didn't feel that I should pile on the rest of the group, because to me, if we're about diversity and inclusion, then to me this is this is not about hating a person. He did apologize for making a mistake, just like many of us. I don't think there's anybody here or myself that's perfect, and we've said something inappropriate. We've maybe not been taken to the Integrity Commissioner, but we've apologized and people have accepted our apology and we've moved on. I didn't feel that this was after the fact and piling on. So I felt that I would side with the mayor out of a form of compassion towards my fellow human being, and I'm sure we just need to move on. I'm not a person of digging the past, digging up the past and keep moving it forward. Councillor Rayner, I think we're all humans. We do make mistakes. He apologized. He apologized many times. So I felt that he had kind of, I guess, learned his lesson and will choose his words more wisely moving forward, like any one of us would. So that's, I guess, my rationale for siding with the mayor.
All right, Councillor Woodavine, the only thing that you fail to understand is that the mayor has been in trouble with the Integrity Commissioner before on many things and has participated in an illegal protest in St. Catharines, has apologized for doing what he said, and the Township of West Lincoln has given disciplinary action with regards to removing him from the Peninsula's power as punishment for that. And to which he apologized, as you said, but then when it came to vote to put the member in, he felt it was unjust that he be removed from it, which basically means his apology was worthless. So with
Councillor Rayner,
record like that,
Councillor Rayner, I'm very uncomfortable with this. Very uncomfortable with this.
Well, you
I'm
should
right
be,
here
because you made us very uncomfortable. We've been uncomfortable for a long time in trying to cover for you, and now it's come to the region. This is a regional matter. He's a regional
all the people who are raising,
right to
all
ask
the people who are raising this. Unreal.
So I just want to make sure that the people understand clearly that the regional councillor is supposed to, as he said, represent the township at the region. The township had made a decision, and it was not what Councillor Woodavine represented to them from us, and it needs to be clarified. Thank you.
Councillor Riley, go ahead, sir. Unreal.
Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna say, like, I understand Councillor Rayner's concerns, just more or less, again, to this whole term, what we've had to endure and what the community had to endure. And so I will admit publicly, I was disappointed, and if anything, more so shocked that Councillor Woodavine voted the way he did. But he's entitled to vote the way he wants. That's he was elected to do so, and the community will hold him accountable if should they disagree with him and his actions he takes while he's in office. I think we made it very clear as a council that we'll stand up for the community every which way, and we all campaigned that we'd hold each other accountable. and we'd be as transparent as possible. And I believe we have done so. So I wouldn't take anything that came out of the region. And I hope the community out there understands that in no way what happened at the region is a true reflection of how this council operates in any way. And we'll continue to hold each and every one of us accountable to the actions that we demonstrate while we're in office, and even when we're outside of the office walls there. So I understand Councillor's frustration, Councillor Rayner's frustration there. And I guess if I was in maybe Councillor Whittavine's situation, I probably would have voted differently, but I understand, he has his opinion and his view on it. And I appreciate him explaining that tonight. And I think I agree. We can kind of move on from this and see where the future holds for all of us.
So one last comment. I appreciate the question and the forthrightness, but it's if you weren't there, then I feel that it's maybe not fair to judge. And this was an issue, and Councillor Rayner wants to bring other issues to the forefront, which was not the issue of the day and was not the question that he asked me. So if he's trying to twist and turn, that may be his ways. But he asked me a point blank question, and I answered him in a point blank answer. So I think and he was not there for the discussion either. So it's not fair to accuse. And this is all part of our understanding of each other and respecting each other for our different viewpoints and the positions that we hold in office. Is that we should not be, I guess, pointing fingers for what you might have done in my position, because I don't think that warrants good discussion and good outcome. So that's Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to close with those remarks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any other comments or questions? Was that okay? Cool. Go ahead, Councillor Rayner.
Thank you. The only thing that I respect your answer, Councillor Whittavine, and that's your thoughts, and I respect that. But as you said in the beginning, you represent the township at the region, and the township had given you direction, and whether you thought you should or you shouldn't, you basically were to take the direction of the township, whether you liked it or not. And that's to me what you were supposed to convey, because if that's your position to reflect the township gave you that direction and you didn't follow it.
Councillor Rayner, as far as I know, just ask, I would like to ask the clerk or the CAO, was there an actual motion from this council to direct Councillor Whittavine how to vote on this, or does he not free to vote according to his conscience?
There's no motion I was aware of, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
So, I was going to say there was nothing from council telling him how to. So out of order.
All right. I would like to move on, obviously, and ask, are there any other questions from councillors? If not, thank you, Councillor Whittavine, for your report. Now we have confirmation of minutes for the regular September 27th, 2021 council meeting. Councillor Broderick, you have this resolution.
Yes, sir. Moved by myself, Councillor Shelley Broderick, that the minutes of the September 27th, 2021 regular council meeting be accepted.
Thank you, Councillor, and seconded by Councillor Jonker. Are there any comments, questions, errors, omissions, items to be pulled? Seeing none, then we're going to call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Next, we move on to public meeting under the Planning Act. Councillor Broderick has declared a conflict on this item. So these minutes have been segregated and will be voted on separately, as Councillor Broderick will not be taking part in the discussion or voting on the JCT item. Councillor Ganan, you have the resolution to approve public meeting minutes A.
I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Moved by myself that the minutes of the public meeting held on October 12th, 2021, under Section 34 of the Planning Act, with respect to A, zoning bylaw amendment, post-time services, file number 1601-013-21 be accepted.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder for that? Councillor O'Reilly. Are there any comments or questions? I see none, so I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Then moving on, we have Councillor Jonker, you have the resolution for the public minutes, meeting minutes B, which has been segregated to vote on separately for Councillor Bradrick's conflict.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself that the minutes of the public meeting held on October 12th, 2021 under Section 34 of the Planning Act with respect to zoning bylaw amendment for JCT Services file number 1601-014-21 be accepted.
Thank you, Councillor Jonker. Can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Gannan, thank you. And are there any comments or questions? So I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. And I'll note that Councillor Bradrick did not participate. So we can move on. There are 3 pieces of communications for this evening's council agenda, which have been provided for information. Scott Butler from Nominations to Good Roads, Board of Directors, Office of the Solicitor General, Local Community Safety Plan, and Niagara Poverty Reduction Network, a letter of support for the Niagara Region Moving Transit Forward Plan for information. At this time, I will go, unless there's any questions on those, I'll go forward to provide some remarks to enter into the record for this month's council meeting. The first thing I'd like to do is to acknowledge the success of this year's farmers market. Thanksgiving weekend was the last Friday that the market was held, and I think that we can be thankful for a lot of things. Most importantly, there was for all the Fridays that were the market was held almost perfectly. There was fantastic weather. I think minus 1/2 hour, but for the most part, each day was a successful weather day, and that of course brings out the crowds. And so I think everyone is patting each other on the back and very thankful that the farmers market was a success. And we look forward to regrouping again for next year. The other thing that I would like to, and I don't want to steal all of Councillor Gannan or Councillor Jonker's thunder, but the West Lincoln Chamber of Commerce Business Awards was held. And so there were some successful businesses that received an award for their hard work, community spirit. They were judged on a number of factors. I'll point this one out. And I'll leave the other ones if the other councillors would like to do that. I'll have them all here. But the one I would like to highlight is there was a new category called Most Resilient Business, and it was given to a business that did well. It's kind of COVID related, COVID era related, and that award went to Touchdown Willie's for being resilient during this pandemic. So just want to highlight that one. And then finally, and then Councillor Witteveen did mention it. So one of the resolutions that I did bring forward on Thursday night last week at the regional council meeting was a resolution about mental health, homelessness, and addiction. It was the conclusion of the presentation that was made to us by young Steve Sues, very enthusiastic and passionate advocate for mental health, addiction, and homelessness. He brought his resolution forward, asked me to sponsor it, which I was pleased to do so, brought on the floor. And unfortunately, it failed to pass. There were some concerns with respect to whether or not it was a reconsideration. And the long story short, the whole thing was removed from the agenda at a certain point, and much to the disappointment of many people who had come forward to speak and many letters that were presented on behalf of asking the region to support it. So that's a very disappointment to the Stephen and company, but I only raise that because Councillor Witteveen did bring it forward. So with that, I don't know if there's any questions or comments. Then I would like to move on. And we have Planning, Building, Environmental Committee minutes. Councillor Bradrick also has declared a conflict on this item, so there will be an A and a B here as well. So on the Councillor Riley, you have the resolution for the main portion, I understand.
I do, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself that the minutes of the open session portion on October 12th, 2021 Planning, Building, Environmental Committee meeting be accepted, and that the recommendations contained therein be approved with the following exceptions. And I have on this script here, I have P101-21 bracket 5, and currently blank unless there's any other that are pulled, and that the confidential minutes relating to the closed session portion of the October 12th, 2021 Planning, Building, Environmental Committee meeting be accepted, and that those minutes remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with Section 239 of the Municipal Act.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Jonker. Thank you. And with that, are there any other items to be pulled? Questions, comments? Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. And the remaining item, Councillor Jonker, you have the resolution for the remaining item.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself that item P101-21 in brackets 5 from the October 12, 2021 Planning, Building, Environmental Committee meeting be approved. Be it that item technical report number PD-113-2021 zoning bylaw amendment 7005 concession four road JCT services. That report PD-113-201 regarding zoning bylaw amendment -7005 concession 4 road JCT services dated October 12th, 2021 be received, and 2, that a recommendation report be submitted to Planning, Building, Environmental Committee and Council once a full staff and agency review has been completed and a series of questions as identified on this technical report have been addressed.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Rayner. Thank you. Any comments or questions? I see none, so I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Councillor Bradrick did not participate. Thank you. Moving on, we have Admin, Finance, Fire Committee minutes of October 18. Councillor Trombetta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself that the minutes of the October 18th, 2021 Administration, Fire and Finance Committee meeting be accepted and the recommendations contained therein be approved with the exceptions of, and I don't have any in front of me, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Gannan, thank you. Any comments, questions, omissions? I see none, so we'll take up the question at this time. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. The Public Works Recreation Arena Committee meeting of October 18 was canceled, so there's no minutes. And we move on through reconsideration and rescind. And so we have other business. Members of council, do any members of council have any new remarks that have not already been stated? Councillor Gannan, go ahead.
Well, perhaps not brand new, but certainly to add to what you had to say, Mr. Mayor, about the Chamber of Commerce event. I was very happy to be actually able to be on that committee that put that together. We started working at the end of April, working towards a virtual event, hoping that we might be able to have a live event by the time the fall rolled around. I would like to thank the members of council who took part, and also a lot of our staff who took part. It really is meaningful, especially when we have somebody like Linda Sicoli from the region and Bev who work in conjunction with our chamber on a lot of economic development stuff. And so the chamber very much appreciated the support of council and staff members. I had the the lack of expertise to put that together, those of you who were there, but I did a lot of the footwork. So one of the privileges that I had was to actually be able to take the plaques and the big planters to each of the businesses. We went over to Touchdown Willie's actually right after the event. They had not been able, you know what our technology is like, and they'd not been able to get on. So they didn't even know they were the winners when we arrived with their plaque and with their planter and whatever. So they were quite thrilled to know what the actual turnout. They certainly knew they'd been nominated. They just didn't know that they were the winners. And then on Friday morning, we were able to take the rest around. And so the large business, for those who may not have heard, was Big Country Raw. The medium was V&R Recycling. The small business was Lloyd's Concrete Floors. The under 35 was Busy Moms Cleaning Service. And the not-for-profit, which I had the honor of sponsoring and then presenting, was Karen Christian School, who were the winners for this year. So all in all, a great event, but everyone, without an exception, made the comment about how pleased they'd be if we can do this in person next year, because certainly people miss the congratulatory pat on the back and so on that normally happens with an event like that. Anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And yes, I appreciate that you acknowledge these people publicly again, as they're very well deserving. Councillor Jonker, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, you're right. Both of you have stolen my thunder as liaison to the chamber there, and I just was going to thank the chamber, the board, and those who worked extra hard to get this done. Elizabeth from Meester Insurance, that's on our board, worked very hard as well, and the other names of that committee are escaping me, but I was a little jealous when I heard, Cheryl gets to travel around and hand these plaques out and the flowers. And I'm thinking now I should have asked, maybe I'd go with her, but no, it was a good event. And yeah, even the MC said, wow, hopefully next year we can do this live, and what a difference that would be. But hats off to the chamber for pushing this through and getting it done. And hopefully next year we can do it with the luncheon or whatever, the mayor luncheon or something like that or something. So, but definitely hats off to the chambers for pushing through and getting that done, and especially to the committee that did a lot of work there. So, yes, it was an enjoyable time.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillors? Councillor Trombetta, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to touch up on a couple things that maybe some members of council spoke about. It is getting darker as we get up in the morning, and it is getting darker as we come home. There's been some serious accidents that have been reported to me at the corner of the intersection of Young and Grassy Road. Fog, really dense in the morning. Just to, maybe tell members of the public to kind of err on the side of caution, as it is. The stop signs are there to witness these stop signs and slow down and see these intersections approaching, because there have been some real some crazy accidents that have happened up there. Also, as it is getting darker, maybe some members of council and I'll have maybe a conversation with the director of public works. There's a lot of illegal dumpings that are happening, so keep your eyes open. I've seen a lot of illegal dumpings happening on our rural roads, which is a real eyesore to see. And I'm not talking a couple garbage bags. These are like massive dump loads of garbage that are ending up on these side things. So maybe speak to your neighbors, try to see if we can catch these sort of people that are messing up our community with all this garbage. So those are all my remarks. I know they're not positive remarks, but they're things that we need to decide on the side of caution to protect the community that we have. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make it brief. Again, I already kind of addressed most of it through Councillor Whittabee, which I wasn't really expecting to. But in relation to Culver Road, actually, or Culver Street, sorry, right by Smithville Public School, I think we're going to, we're seeing more and more of this, not just related to that street. That street right now seems to be impacted. And, next week there'll be another street. But, we need to do everything we can to get more police out here. Even, we don't have a bylaw department to the capacity that it would take to ticket people enough to get them to change their habits or routines. So, again, there's a lot of parts of our community that I feel like, we're failing and we really need to do better. So I'm really hoping that you can can relay that back to the region and get us. I know we've seen a small uptick in police presence improvement since this term. So I'm hoping that we can take you up on your offer and you can get that staff sergeant out to a meeting, because it's been long overdue since our last meeting that we had the staff sergeant at the time and the chief police come up to us. So hopefully we can get that set up, whether it's next month or the month after or early in the new year. But we certainly need to do more. So.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Madam CAO, you're good? Okay. Then we move on. Councilor Rayner, you have the resolution for bylaws this month.
New item of business, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I missed that. New items of business. Are there any new items of business that need attention? Councilor Rayner.
Yes, I would like to move to introduce a new item of business. I need a seconder, please.
Okay, somebody would like to second
We just need to know what the item is. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, for
It
interrupting.
relates to the integrity commissioner.
Okay, that's pretty vague, but Councilor Riley? Okay, Councilor Riley will second that. Was that sufficient enough of a notice, Madam Clerk?
I would appreciate a little bit more understanding of what the item is. Sorry, I haven't been contacted about this matter, so.
Would that not be explained if this even carries over? I'm just kind of curious.
Exactly.
I would just appreciate if I could know what the item is. All I've been told is integrity commissioner.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Councilor Rayner,
Sorry.
go ahead, be a little bit more clear if you could.
All right, thanks. I would ask that the integrity commissioner be present next month for a presentation, please.
Okay, all right, that's a little bit more clear. Madam Clerk, is that sufficient?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Okay, and it's been seconded by Councilor Riley. So this, at this point, is not a discussion about that question. It's just a to introduce the new item of business. It just needs a simple majority, Madam Clerk.
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, then I will. Are there any comments or questions?
I think we just vote and then we can determine that afterwards.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. All right. So all those in favor? I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. So we have opportunity to enter a new item of business. Councilor Rayner, I'm assuming you have a motion prepared, a resolution prepared?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And my motion is that this council ask our Township Integrity Commissioner to be present at next month's council meeting to give us an update on the investigation of a certain member of this council.
Okay. And that would be in closed session, Madam Clerk? Or Madam
Sorry,
CAO?
I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor, if I can just have some thought on to that, but at this point, I can include it on the agenda. However, I presume this is with respect to obviously a item or a complaint that occurred has occurred, and it's not something to do with a new complaint.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to let everybody know we do have one put on hold. There's nothing that can be done with respect to that matter, though, at this time until other issues are taken care of that are involved with another act. The Integrity Commissioner, I believe, was in attendance in May and provided that update to everybody. And again, I don't believe no action has been taken where that other item has been addressed before we can address the complaints. Just to let everyone know.
Councilor Rayner, or sorry, Councilor Riley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I think we need a seconder before we could have started all this extra talk, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And I'll be the seconder for that. That's no problem.
All right, thank
just
you.
to kind of keep us in order here. So if I through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Rayner, even is the idea that you're asking for some kind of are you seeking just some kind of like status update? Like, I think if it's the one that we're speaking about, that was the one in May. Are you just looking for kind of like, it's been 4 or 5 months now and just kind of where we're at, what's to expect?
Right. It's kind of in the stalling mode right now, and it's been a considerable amount of time now. I mean, it's not, we're well into fall and we haven't heard
Okay.
anything yet. So I would just like to see if we could have an update to see what the status is and kind of get a better feel of where we're at. Because right now, we don't know any more than we did in May. And I think the time has passed long enough that there should be something brought up to bring us more up to speed. That's all.
Okay.
I'm going to go to Madam CAO and then Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Yeah, I figured out how to raise my hand on Zoom officially again. So the words that were used by the Integrity Commissioner in May were that that latest complaint was suspended because under the Municipal Act, if there's another act that either trumps or it, nests under this type of complaint, that has to go through the process first, and that's what is still underway. And we can certainly arrange to have the Integrity Commissioner attend, or we could also have the Integrity Commissioner provide a memo, which is another option that I'll put out.
Thank you. Councillor Rayner.
Thank you. Then that brings up an interesting question too. Like you said, it trumps it. But what is the progress in that regard? I mean, this whole incident was a public incident. So I would assume the process from this will still be public, although it hasn't been made public. It should be public since the initial was certainly public. So where does this stand? How does it affect the other? Those are all questions that I would kind of like to get answered to see where we're going with this right now, because it just seems like we're waiting for something else to happen in order to trigger the other one. Well, they should all be public because they were public that caused it. So, or that resulted in it. So let's get it all on board. And where are we sitting and how long is this going to take? That's really, I just want that's what I said, an update. So that it's been 6 months. Let's find out where we are and how soon before we can go to the next step.
Okay,
Again, Mr. Mayor,
Madam Clerk.
I was just going to say, again, Mr. Mayor, as the CAO has indicated, that we have to wait for this matter to take place in with respect to under a different act before we can proceed. It's part of the Code of Conduct complaint process when it deals with a matter that is under another act. At this point, we are not aware of the matter being addressed yet, and such that we can't deal with it. The Integrity Commissioner is unable to deal with it until that point. I just wanted to make that, to just reiterate that fact. And we will bring it back. It's the matter is not dead or pushed aside or anything like that. I just want to assure everyone that it is being addressed, but it has to wait until the matter at hand under the other act is taken care of.
Councillor Rayner.
Thank you. Well, then that's why I asked the question, because that act that caused it was the public. Is there a way that we can find out where the status of that is, since it also should be public? I mean, the incident was public, so the result of the incident should also be public. So can we get an update as to where that is? And that will tell us how long before the other one can take place. Because right now, we're no farther ahead than we were yesterday or last week or last month. So that's why I want to just move this ahead, say, okay, the thing that's holding us up, where is it? What's the timeline on that? Where does it stand right now? And then we can go from there. That's all.
Councillor Riley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I certainly have I think what Councillor Rayner is asking, I think is not unreasonable by any means. I think if it's going to bring a peace of mind just to have some extra context, I realize given the nature of the situation, we probably have to be enclosed until it's ready to be in open. But I would certainly be in support of just sending that forward and seeing if we can have a presentation made to us at a later time whenever that meets the Integrity Commissioner's schedule. And I would say instead of us drawing this out further, unless anyone has other questions, let's just call the question. It might not even pass.
Yeah.
Councillor Jonker, go ahead.
Yeah, unless it's just a memo that he's looking for as well. I think maybe, is that going to be enough? That, because I'm wondering if we just get a written update from the commissioner, is that enough, that instead of having him come here to make a presentation that will cost us more in the township more, is my question. So if we just leave it as a memo from him.
I think he has questions for him though.
Yeah. I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking that. If we can save some money by not having him come here.
Councillor Rayner.
Yes, thank you. That's a good point, Councillor Jonker, and generally speaking, probably that would do. But the only thing is that something like that would probably result in a few questions that would be asked at the time. And rather than go back and forth with letters and everything like that, it would probably be more efficient, more effective. If we have any concerns, I realize there is a little bit of a cost to this, but hopefully we're not going to keep them here that long. But just if we have additional questions, it would be nice to be able to ask it at that time and get it all resolved. But basically your thought process is in the right direction to where are we with that? But if it leads to something beyond that, then we can't do it because it's just a straightforward letter. So I would think dialogue may be required, or at least should have the opportunity that we should be able to have it should we wish. If that's acceptable to council. I mean, if it's not, that's fine. I'm just bringing this up. If they're in favor of the direction, fine. If they're not, I'm accepting that. It's just, I just want to think that's just been laying around such a long time. Let's move on, get it done, move forward, because sitting on it forever is not solving anything.
Okay, I see no further questions or comments. So we'll take up a vote. I'm going to ask the question at this time. All those in favor?
I think the clerk has her hand up, Mr. Mayor.
Oh.
She did.
I did. I was just going to let it go, but I was just going to say that it would be, I just looked into it again, and it would be a matter of closed session, just so you understand.
Well, we figured it would be.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I just double checked.
Okay, thank you for that, Madam Clerk. Councillor Trombetta?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, through you to Madam CAO, when you mentioned in your comments, either reaching out for a memo to when he is coming back or a memo to report and then come back, I'm, or just what Councillor Rayner is saying, come back. So I'm can you just clarify a little bit on that, please?
I was suggesting that should another option for council would be to receive a memo with a status report in it in lieu of him attending. It was just a suggestion.
So if, just for clarification, Madam CAO, through you, Mr. Mayor, if there is a memo or a status report, and then at one time, like maybe Councillor Rayner or Councillor Riley or members of this council have some questions, would there be a possible date in that memo he could come back? Like if there, like I said, we're almost in November at this moment. You know, we obviously there's got to be some scheduling that has to be completed by the clerk's department and Madam CAO, if it's possible. So I'm just saying, how does this process kind of work is what I'm asking. Is if a member of council requests it right away, do they show up at that date with the date that we're requesting? Or like I said, a memo's got to come and then there's got to be some.
No. Okay. Understood. Thank you. It was either or. It was perhaps a memo with a status update, or the Integrity Commissioner comes and does a verbal update. Meaning we could also do a memo with them, have them come, but I don't think that's what we're after. I think it was just to offer another option. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps. That's fine. Thank you.
Councillor Gannan.
I just want to weigh in a little bit in that if we've already heard from both our clerk and our CAO that there's nothing further that's going to come out of this right now, I think perhaps this discussion has achieved its purpose in terms of making sure that the rest of council know that this is not a lost issue. It hasn't been forgotten. It still is eventually going to come back to us, and it will have to be dealt with. And so perhaps this very discussion has been enough for now, as opposed to a memo that just simply says, sorry, I can't say anything further until this other issue is settled in the other jurisdiction, or comes in and still tells us the same thing. If we can't hear the results of the investigation, then I'm not completely sure we need to waste our time or the Integrity Commissioner's time right now. I do think it would be good if the clerk or Madam CAO, if you were to reach out to him and make sure that the Integrity Commissioner is aware of this discussion and the fact that this council is very concerned about what the next steps are or where we're going from here. I think one of the considerations that probably brings this forward is that every time there is word of something to this effect in the press, then we spend our weekends answering questions from people or answering emails and trying to explain, what's going on and what we can or can't do about particular circumstances. I know I've had many people reach out to me and several emails, and so each time, none of us operates in an island, and each time one of us does something, then the rest of us are affected. And I think we have to be well aware of that. And I think this discussion has brought that out tonight. So I don't think at this point I would support an immediate request to the IC if there's nothing further that we're going to gain from that. But certainly I would appreciate contacting the person who's responsible for this report so that they know that we're anxiously awaiting it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam or Councillor Ganan. Any other comments or questions? Then I'm going to call the question at this time. Okay, Councillor Riley. Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, just something Councillor Ganan said popped in my head. So if I'm understanding correctly, like obviously this is coming at us out of nowhere, but I know we're probably under the impression we're not going to learn anything new if nothing new's come to us. But I'm also getting the impression that Councillor Rayner wants to ask questions that they may or may not have an answer to. So I just want to make sure we're very clear that we don't really know what kind of response we would get. So he's certainly perked my curiosity, and so I'm going to just be honest. I'm going to vote in favor of this because I'm very interested to hear what he may or may not have to say. But I just thought I would clarify that in case anyone else wants to correct me here. But that's my understanding, is that we're looking for an opportunity to maybe ask more questions, not just whether or not where the duration of it is. It sounds like there's more that could be achieved through it. So I just thought I would clarify that, and if I misunderstood that, I'd like to be corrected right now.
Councillor Jonker.
Yeah, I think from what I'm understanding here, I think what might be the best and the wisest for us to do is have somebody, the clerk or whoever, can reach out and ask him if there's any more, if there's any movement on it, and then no sense asking him to come here if he's going to say, well, I can't make any comment at this time, right? So I think that's what we need to find out first. Is can he actually even discuss it, and then go from there. So to me, it seems like what we should be doing is seeing if staff reaches out, like Councillor Ganan said, find out where things are at, and then come back and they can just report, yes, we just talked to them, and at this time we still can't proceed, so we need to wait. I think that makes the most sense to me. So I'm not going to vote in favor of asking them to come here if we can't even ask them a question. So I think we need to find out first if we can, and then go from there.
Okay.
Could that be tagged on? Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Could that possibly be tagged on so that way we're hitting two birds with one stone? So if staff reach out to him to come, and if he says there's absolutely nothing he could disclose or further speak to, then that in itself can cancel itself out. But if he's open to a Q&A or there is information he could, then that can also be achieved in the same resolution. So that way we're not having to come back and discuss this again all in open. Like we can kind of put the best of both worlds in that, I think. So I guess through you to the clerk and maybe to the rest of council here, if everyone's in support of that idea.
Councillor Trombetta.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk. It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just going to say through you, Mayor Balsma, to Councillor Riley. Certainly, I can reach out to our Integrity Commissioner and speak to him to see if there's any update further that he can provide at this time. And if so, then I can schedule him to attend the November council meeting. And if there's no further, update that he can provide at this time, then, I'm sure he can put that in writing to me and I can forward it to everyone. And we can just wait until this matter can be addressed once the investigation is completed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. No further questions, Mr. Mayor. Madam, the clerk answered the question for me there.
Okay, thank you.
The only thing, Mr. Mayor, sorry to interrupt again. The resolution that's on the table is to invite him to attend a closed session meeting, November council meeting. I would, if it's up to the mover and seconder, if they want to amend this resolution or they want it to stand and then we vote on it. Again, if you want to amend it, that staff be asked to contact the Integrity Commissioner for an update. And if there's further update in that regard, that we invite him to the November council meeting.
Councilor Rayner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really, I'm okay with that. I just brought it up to get an update, but if there's one predeceasing this or came after that is holding this one up, then I'm hoping that we could find the status on that one in order to at least have an idea when that's going to be over with, so that we know, just so that we, obviously there must be dates scheduled or rescheduled or whatever they do, in which case at least we know where this is heading, because right now we know there's another one that's preceding this, that's causing this one to be on the hold pattern right now. So where is the other one? What's the time date for that one? When do they figure this one's going to be resolved? In order to find that, it's just an update. That's all. Because right now we got nothing, and if we can get any information from the Integrity Commissioner, then that's all. If you want to do a letter or you don't want to do, it's open to whatever anybody wants. I'm just saying right now we know nothing. We're getting no information. So anything we get's better than we got right now. So I'm in favor of just, if you want to have staff go check, then that's fine. We don't have to bring them in if we don't want to.
Thank you, Councilor Rayner. People who have a resolution before us, properly moved and seconded.
Well, Mr. Mayor, so just to confirm, what are we voting on? Because it sounds like Councilor Rayner is open to staff reaching if he's available coming, and it sounds like you want to read the original.
You want to amend it?
You're the mover of it, so you can amend it, I guess, and then we can get a seconder and get a second.
Mr. Mayor, I'm in favor of amending it if that's acceptable to you and to staff, and just amend it that staff look into this and report back to council.
There we go.
That's acceptable.
Okay.
That's all I want.
Councilor Riley, second that. Do we need any discussion on that one? It's been amended. It's basically been reduced. Madam Clerk, we did have a properly moved and seconded motion. Right. Now we have the mover and seconder kind of downgrading it. Is that? Can we just take that as the new motion? Since this is
we'll take it as a friendly amendment. Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, we can take it as a friendly amendment.
Can the clerk read the actual motion just so that we're on the same page?
Yes, I can. Through you, Mr. Mayor, that staff be requested to contact the Township's Integrity Commissioner, John Mascarian, to advise of members of council's concerns with respect to his investigation relating to a code of conduct complaint made against a member of council, and report back to council members.
All right.
There's something in that regard.
Can we, Mr. Mayor, we also add and the status of the one that's holding this up in order to get an idea where this one's going to go, when this one's going to go? Like there's one holding it up. Where is that right now, so that we know where we're coming in? Could that be added to it?
Yes, I can include that, Councilor Rayner. I just don't know whether the Integrity Commissioner, that's out of his area. That's in the court system, so it's not a part of his Integrity Commissioner investigation, but he may perhaps have an update on that. I don't know. But as I said, it's a totally different system, court system, that he may not be privileged to know what the status is on that.
Okay.
if I could, that it would seem that he should be involved in it because his is directly affected by theirs. So there should be some communication here. That's all.
That I don't know, Councillor Rayner, if there is
We'll find out when he gets back.
dialogue. Yeah.
Madam CAO. Madam CAO.
Sorry, I did put my hand up, then I put my hand down.
Okay, it's down. Okay.
Okay, we're done.
Fancy schmancy, all these buttons. All right. Are we clear on the resolution? Okay, then I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And
As amended,
well,
Mr. Mayor?
the new one that Council Rayner put forward, the Council Riley seconded.
Favor.
Favor.
Okay.
And Council Broderick.
I think she just internet bumped
Yeah.
her off.
Yeah. I'm just going to wait then for a second. Council Broderick, are you there? Well, that carries. It does carry. So at this point, that is a reality, and I'm going to proceed unless I see Council Broderick in a second. Okay, I don't. So we're going to move on. Council Rayner, you have the resolution for bylaws.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, moved by myself that leave be granted to introduce bylaws 2021-85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, and 95, and that the same shall be considered to have been read a first, second, and third time with one reading and are hereby adopted, and that the mayor and clerk be and hereby authorized to sign and affix the corporate seal thereto, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I get a seconder, please? Councillor Jonker. Thank you. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. And there are no confidential matters, so I declare this meeting adjourned at the time of 8:07.
Thank you. Time for the NFL.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Leafs are winning 1-0.
Yeah, but that won't last.